The Jordan Show on YouTube.
Okay, so you sent over this really fascinating collection of articles and notes all about Hewlett-Packard, and you seem especially interested in this thing called the HP way.
Right.
I gotta say I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Let's dive into XP's story and unpack this whole management philosophy that you say shaped Silicon Valley culture.
Okay.
It's like we're decoding the DNA of a tech giant here.
What's so captivating about the HP wave is that it wasn't just about producing technology.
Yeah.
It was about building a company culture that put people first. And that approach had a ripple effect far beyond HP.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of articles that detail some of the specifics of the HP way. And one thing that stands out to me is this real emphasis on respecting employees.
Right.
But it seems like it went far beyond just lip service.
Yeah.
What were some of the concrete ways that HP put this principle into action?
You're absolutely right. It wasn't just a feel-good slogan.
Yeah.
HP implemented some innovative policies and practices that reflected a deep respect for its employees. For instance, they offered flexible work arrangements,
Really?
which was practically unheard of at the time.
Wow.
They also invested heavily in employee training and development programs, recognizing that investing in their people was essential for both individual and company growth.
That's fascinating. So they were actively creating a culture where employees felt valued and empowered to grow.
Exactly.
I'm also curious about this open door policy you mentioned.
Go ahead.
Can you elaborate on how that worked in practice?
Sure.
Was it truly a free-for-all where anyone could just walk into Bill Hewlett or Dave Packard's office?
Well, maybe not quite a free-for-all, but the principle was that managers, even those at the very top, were expected to be accessible to any employee
Okay.
who had an idea, a concern, or just wanted to chat. It fostered a level of transparency and open communication that was pretty groundbreaking at the time.
Now, this accessibility wasn't confined to offices, was it?
No.
It extended to the very heart of HP's operations. Right. They had this thing called management by walking around.
Exactly.
I'm picturing Bill Hewlett strolling through the factory, stopping to chat with engineers and assembly line workers.
Yeah.
Is that a fairly accurate picture?
You've got the right idea.
Yeah.
Hewlett and Packard were known for their hands-on approach,
Okay.
and management by walking around was a key part of that. It wasn't just about observing operations from afar.
Right.
It was about engaging directly with employees, getting their feedback,
Yeah.
and understanding their challenges.
So it seems like they were deliberately trying to break down the traditional barriers between management and employees.
Yeah.
I'm looking at an article here that highlights Dave Packard's philosophy.
Okay.
And he's quoted as saying, "The essence of the HP way was to regard the company as a vehicle for individual achievement and contribution." That's more than just clever wording.
Yeah.
They were creating a system that encouraged employees to see themselves as stakeholders in HP's success.
Precisely. They believed that when employees feel a sense of ownership,
Yeah.
they're more likely to be engaged, motivated, and invested in the company's success.
Right. And that leads us to another fascinating aspect of the HP way.
Okay.
This emphasis on sharing the rewards.
Huh?
I've got some notes here about HP's profit sharing programs and employee stock ownership plans.
Right.
Was this a common practice back then?
Not really. They were definitely pioneers in this area.
Wow.
Most companies at the time focused primarily on maximizing shareholder profits,
Okay.
but HP took a very different approach. They believed that if employees were contributing to the company's success,
Yeah.
they deserved to share in the rewards.
So instead of simply receiving a paycheck,
Yeah,
HP employees were essentially becoming mini investors in the company.
that's a good way to put it.
Can you give us some more specifics about how these profit sharing programs worked?
Sure.
What percentage of profits were employees typically receiving?
Well, the exact percentage varied depending on the company's performance and an employee's role and tenure. But the remarkable thing is that profit sharing wasn't just a bonus. It was deeply ingrained in their compensation philosophy. They wanted employees to have a direct stake in HP's financial well-being.
It's like they were saying, we're all in this together, and if we succeed, we all benefit.
Right.
It creates a different kind of incentive structure than the traditional top-down, profit-driven model.
Exactly.
I imagine this had a significant impact on employee morale and loyalty.
Absolutely. By sharing the rewards, they fostered a sense of partnership.
Yeah.
And mutual benefit employees weren't just working for a paycheck.
Right.
They were working towards a shared goal and reaping the rewards of their collective efforts.
This emphasis on collaboration and shared success seems to have played a crucial role in fostering HP's renowned culture of innovation.
Yeah.
We've touched on the HP 35 calculator, which was a game changer.
Right.
And there's a note here about HP Labs, their dedicated research and development arm. What was it about the HP way that allowed them to create such a fertile ground for groundbreaking ideas?
HP Labs was, in many ways, a direct manifestation of the HP way.
Okay.
It was a space where engineers and scientists were given the freedom to experiment, take risks, and pursue their most ambitious ideas.
So it wasn't just about having brilliant minds in a room. It was about creating a specific environment that encouraged them to thrive.
Exactly. They fostered a culture where failure wasn't punished, but rather seen as a learning opportunity.
That's quite a departure from the traditional corporate fear of failure.
Yeah.
It sounds like they were deliberately creating a safe space for experimentation.
Yes?
Can you give us some specific examples of how this culture of experimentation manifested in HP Labs?
Sure.
What kind of projects were they working on?
Well, the HP 35 calculator itself is a great example.
Okay.
It was a radical idea at the time, a pocket-sized device that could perform complex scientific calculations. It wasn't a guaranteed success, but HP was willing to invest in the vision and give their engineers the freedom to explore its potential.
I'm guessing this management by walking around wasn't limited to the factory floor.
No, not at all.
Did Hewlett and Packard also spend time in HP Labs
Yes, they did.
interacting with the engineers
Right.
and getting a first-hand look at the projects in development?
They absolutely did. They were deeply engaged in the innovation process.
Okay.
And they understood the importance of fostering a direct connection with the people who were driving it.
It's fascinating to imagine them walking through the labs, discussing ideas with engineers, and maybe even offering suggestions or insights based on their own experiences.
Yeah.
It seems like they were genuinely invested in creating a collaborative environment where everyone felt empowered to contribute.
That was the essence of the HP way. They believed that innovation could come from anywhere within the organization, and they created a system that encouraged and rewarded that kind of thinking.
But even with a model as successful as the HP way, there were bound to be challenges as the company grew and evolved, right?
Of course, maintaining such a unique and people-centric culture as a company scales is a daunting task.
Right.
And in the ever-changing world of technology, even giants like HP had to adapt and make difficult decisions. That sometimes led to criticism that they had strayed from their founding principles.
That makes sense. Balancing growth and innovation with staying true to your core values is a challenge for any company, especially in a dynamic industry like tech.
Right.
We'll delve into some of those challenges and explore how HP navigated those transitions in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
It's amazing to think that a company that started with like audio oscillators in a garage
Right.
ended up becoming a tech titan. We're tracing that journey today, and I'm curious about how HP made that leap from those early days into the world of computing.
Okay.
Was it a calculated strategy or more of a serendipitous evolution?
It was a fascinating blend of both, I'd say.
Okay.
Their journey into computing was marked by a series of strategic decisions, but those decisions were always informed by the principles of the HP way.
Okay.
A pivotal moment in this journey was their foray into calculators.
Calculators.
Right.
I remember my first HP calculator.
Yeah,
It was a prized possession back in the day.
I bet.
How did HP establish itself as a major player in that market?
Well, it all began with that revolutionary HP 35 scientific calculator we discussed earlier.
Okay.
It was a game changer
Right.
for scientists, engineers, and anyone who needed to perform complex calculations
Yeah.
on the go.
On the go.
Imagine having a mini supercomputer in your pocket.
Wow.
That's what the HP 35 represented at the time.
So was this miniaturization a deliberate strategy driven by the HP way? Or was it more of a response to market demand?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it highlights how the HP way influenced their product development.
Okay.
They were always looking for ways to make technology more accessible and user-friendly. And the HP 35 embodies that philosophy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a powerful tool.
Yeah.
It was a tool that put power in the hands of individuals.
Now that success with the HP 35 wasn't just a one-off. right?
No, not at all.
They went on to develop a whole line of increasingly sophisticated calculators,
Exactly.
each one pushing the boundaries of what was possible in such a small device.
Uh-huh.
Did this relentless pursuit of innovation stem from a top-down directive? Or was it more of a grassroots movement driven by the engineers themselves?
It was very much a culture of innovation
Okay.
that permeated the entire organization.
Wow.
The HP way encouraged employees at all levels to come up with new ideas and explore new possibilities. They created an environment where engineers weren't afraid to experiment
Right.
and take risks.
Okay.
And that's reflected in their impressive lineup of calculators.
That spirit of innovation wasn't limited to calculators, was? I'm looking at some notes here about HP's significant contributions to the world of printing,
Okay.
particularly those dot matrix printers that were everywhere back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
They seem to excel at both scientific and consumer-focused products. Was that a deliberate strategy or just a happy coincidence?
I believe it speaks to their ability to identify emerging needs
Okay.
and leverage their technological prowess to address those needs. They weren't afraid to venture into new territories
Right.
and apply their expertise in different ways.
Okay.
The dot matrix printer is a prime example of that.
Yeah.
They saw an opportunity to bring printing technology to the masses, making it more affordable and accessible.
So it sounds like they were constantly seeking out new ways to empower individuals and businesses with technology.
Yeah, they were.
Okay, so we've got calculators, we've got printers. When did HP enter the arena of computers? Was it a natural progression from their existing product lines?
Okay.
Or was it a more strategic leap into a new market?
Their journey into computers was a bit more gradual.
Okay.
They started by developing mini computers,
Okay.
which were smaller and more affordable
Right.
than the massive mainframe computers that dominated the market at the time.
Mini computers.
Right.
They were kind of like the bridge between those giant mainframes
Yes.
and the personal computers we use today, right?
Exactly.
What kind of functionality did they offer?
Well-
And who were they targeting with these mini computers?
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
They were a crucial step in the evolution of computing.
Okay.
Mini computers offered more computing power
Right.
than a calculator could provide. But they were still accessible to businesses and research institutions
Okay.
that couldn't afford or didn't need the immense scale of a mainframe.
Right.
They filled a specific niche and proved to be quite successful.
So they were catering to a specific segment of the market.
Yeah.
But was that a stepping stone to the world of personal computers? Did they eventually make that transition?
They did in the 1980s.
Okay.
They introduced their first line of personal computers, the HP-80 series,
Okay.
which were targeted at professionals and businesses.
Interesting. So they focused on the professional market first
Yeah.
before entering the consumer PC market.
Right.
Was that a deliberate choice? Or were they simply following the market trends of the time?
I think it was a strategic decision based on their understanding of their strengths
Okay.
and their target audience.
Uh-huh.
They had already established a strong reputation in the business world
Right.
with their calculators, printers, and mini computers.
Right.
It made sense to leverage that existing trust and brand recognition.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
Build on your existing success
Right.
and gradually expand into new markets.
Exactly.
How did their PCs fare in the increasingly competitive world of personal computing? Did they face any significant hurdles?
They certainly faced stiff competition
Okay.
from established players like IBM and Apple,
Right.
which were already making waves in the PC market. But HP held its own, eventually becoming a major force in the industry.
So they weren't just riding the wave of personal computing, they were actively shaving it.
Exactly.
You mentioned that they were known for their user friendliness.
Right.
Was this a deliberate effort to differentiate themselves from the competition? Or was it simply a reflection of their engineering philosophy?
I think it was a combination of both.
Okay.
They understood that for personal computers to truly empower individuals,
Right.
they needed to be intuitive and easy to use.
Yeah.
They didn't want technology to be intimidating. They wanted it to be accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and they backed that up with excellent customer service,
Exactly.
which was another hallmark of the HP way.
It was.
So they were not only creating innovative products, but also fostering a positive user experience that went beyond just the technology itself.
Right. They believed in building long-term relationships based on trust
Right.
and mutual benefit.
It sounds like they were building a relationship with their customers, not just selling them products.
Exactly, and that extended to their employees as well, as we've discussed.
Right.
They were creating a culture that valued both innovation and customer satisfaction, which is a powerful combination.
And they continued to innovate in the PC space, right?
Yes, they did.
Didn't they introduce a line of Pavilion PCs in the late 1990s?
Yeah, they did.
I remember those being quite stylish for their time.
They were.
Were those targeted at home users?
Yes, the Pavilion line marked a significant shift
Okay.
towards the consumer market.
Okay.
They were designed for home users and multimedia applications, and they were very successful.
The sleek design was definitely a selling point,
It was.
but they also focused on delivering a great user experience, continuing that legacy of user friendliness.
Exactly.
It's remarkable how HP, a company that started with such a humble product, evolved into one that touched so many aspects of our lives. From scientific instruments to home entertainment, their impact is undeniable.
It is.
But as you mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
maintaining a unique culture as a company grows and the tech landscape shifts can be challenging.
Absolutely. Were there instances where HP faced criticism for straying from the HP way?
There were definitely periods where HP faced challenges
Okay.
in staying true to its founding principles as the company grew.
Right.
And the pressure to compete intensified. Some decisions are made that seem to prioritize short-term gains
Yeah.
over long-term values.
It's understandable that maintaining that initial spark becomes more difficult as a company evolves and faces new pressures.
Right.
But even with those challenges,
Okay.
the HP way has undoubtedly left a lasting impact, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a legacy that continues to inspire and inform how we think about company culture and leadership.
Okay.
We'll delve into the enduring impact of the HP way.
And explore some of the key takeaways in part 3 of our deep dive.
So we've covered HP's incredible journey from their, humble beginnings to becoming this tech giant.
Right.
But as with any company, there were bound to be challenges along the way.
Yeah, especially given how rapidly the tech industry changes.
That's true, even with a strong foundation like the HP way.
Right.
Navigating, those constant shifts in the tech landscape must have been tough.
Absolutely. Even with a strong foundation like the HP way, navigating the constant shifts in the tech landscape is no easy feat.
Right, and one major hurdle they faced was maintaining its unique culture as the company grew and expanded globally.
Yeah.
It's one thing to nurture trust and autonomy within a small, close-knit team, but it's a whole other challenge when you have tens of thousands of employees worldwide.
Yeah, it's like trying to translate a small town trauma onto a global scale.
Right.
The essence might get lost in the expansion.
Exactly. And as HP ventured into new markets and faced fiercer competition, did they manage to hold on to those core principles?
Right.
Or were there compromises made along the way?
There were definitely times when HP faced criticism for seemingly straying from its roots.
Yeah, you highlighted a couple of articles that delve into this issue.
Right.
What were some of the key criticisms leveled at HP?
Okay.
And how did the company respond?
One recurring criticism was that as HP grew, some of the personal touch that characterized the early days of the HP way diminished.
That makes sense. The intimacy of a small company where anyone can just walk into the founder's office is hard to replicate on a massive scale.
Exactly.
Did HP try to implement any alternative practices to maintain that accessibility and open communication as it grew?
They did. They recognized that they needed to adapt their approach to suit their evolving structure. They implemented things like company-wide forums, online suggestion boxes, and regular employee surveys to ensure that voices from all levels of the organization were still being heard.
So it wasn't a perfect solution.
But it was an attempt to bridge that gap.
Exactly.
It sounds like they were trying to find a balance between preserving the spirit of the HP way while acknowledging the realities of a global corporation.
Yeah.
It's a challenge a lot of companies face as they grow.
It is.
But despite those challenges, the HP way has undoubtedly left a lasting impact, right?
Absolutely. The HP way was more than just a set of policies and practices. It was a philosophy that shaped an entire industry. It showed the world that a company could be both profitable and people-centric.
You've mentioned several examples of how the HP way influenced other companies.
Right.
Can you elaborate on some of those ripple effects?
Sure.
How did it shape the culture of Silicon Valley and beyond?
Well, the emphasis on employee empowerment, open communication, and shared success became a model for many other tech companies,
Right.
especially those emerging in Silicon Valley.
Uh-huh.
It contributed to a shift away from the rigid hierarchical structures.
Yeah. Of traditional corporations towards a more collaborative and innovative work environment.
It's fascinating how a company's culture can have such a profound impact.
Yeah.
Not just on its own success, but on the broader landscape of an entire industry.
Right.
It really goes to show that ideas, especially those rooted in human values, can be just as powerful as any technological innovation.
It's true.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into HP and the HP way,
Okay.
what would you say are the most significant takeaways for our listener, who you know clearly has a keen interest in this topic?
The biggest takeaway, I believe, is that a company's culture can be its greatest asset.
Okay.
When you create an environment where people feel valued, empowered, and inspired, you unlock a level of creativity, innovation, and loyalty that can't be replicated through any other means.
Right.
The HP way demonstrated that treating employees as partners, not just cogs in a machine, can lead to remarkable success.
It's a powerful reminder that business success isn't just about the bottom line.
Right.
It's about the people who make it happen.
Exactly.
It's about fostering a culture that values innovation, collaboration, and shared success. The HP way may have faced challenges over the years, but its core principles remain as relevant as ever,
They do.
serving as an inspiration for companies across all industries, and that's something worth reflecting on.
Well said. The story of HP and the HP way is a compelling reminder
Yeah.
that the human element should never be overlooked. In the pursuit of business success, it's a story that goes far beyond calculators and computers,
Right.
touching on the very heart of what it means to build a truly great company.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
We'll be back with another exploration into the world of innovation and the people who shape it. Until then, keep those knowledge nuggets flowing.